condición alrededor no podría ser mejor para levantar a mis hermanos, hombres de valor. Ya hay conocimiento, la nación está creciendo. Agua de vida para mi sed estoy bebiendo. Entiende el que miente, la verdad no defiende. Si aprendes depende de lo que comprendes. El bombillo se prende y la falsedad suspende. A ti, a tus duendes y cualquiera que se ofende. Le invito a un sermón en cualquier callejón de la tribu de Efraín. Si preguntan quiénes son, los santos se preparan, que en esto continuaran, el mundo arrojaran y en el reino avanzaran. Estando todo escrito, sirves en tu contra. Es hora de trabajar, salgo de la sombra. Proverbios 6 y 10, el vago se deshonra. Al que responda, quizás le corresponda. No les tiro, sino que les advierto. No sé por cuánto tiempo el reino estará abierto. Ya no estoy hambriento, en la selva solo ando. Me mantengo preparando, siguiendo su comando. Espero no me crean para que así los investiguen.
All right. All praise to the Most High Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai. This is neither Jew or Greek. This is an oldie but a goodie. I'm doing this video because this is pretty much a good one to have in my collection of videos, right? And yeah, it's an old topic in which a lot of people in the truth already know the truth of this topic, but it's still being misquoted by people who don't know, right? If that makes sense. So we're gonna get into it, right? This whole topic or this video is surrounding the subject matter of Galatians 3:28, which says there is neither Jew nor Greek, right? So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you in context what's going on here in Galatians. So we're gonna start with Galatians 2, right? And I'm going to read Galatians 2, and then I'm going to show you something. So let's start with Galatians 2 and verse 14. And it says, "But when I saw that they walked not uprightly according to the truth of the gospel, I said unto Peter before them all." So this is Paul talking to Peter. It says, "If thou, being a Jew, livest after the manner of Gentiles, and not as do the Jews, why compellest thou the Gentiles to live as do the Jews?" So, subject matter is Jews walking, these so-called Gentiles walking after the manner of the Jews, meaning keeping the law. All right? Watch this, though. Verse 15. "We who are Jews by nature and not sinners of the Gentiles." And here it goes. This is verse 16. "Knowing that a man is not justified by the works of the law, but by the faith of Jesus Christ. Even we have believed in Jesus Christ, that we might be justified by faith of Christ and not by the works of the law. For by the works of the law shall no flesh be justified." Now, this is important. Remember, subject matter is Peter, right, telling these Gentiles, these so-called Gentiles, to keep the law. Paul coming back and saying that we don't have to keep the law, that nobody is justified by the works of the law. And then we're going to see later on how he switches his tune on this subject matter. So the reason why I'm saying all this is in Galatians, Paul was very immature in his understanding concerning Christ and the law. And I'm going to show you this. So what's important to understand about the book of Galatians is this right here. Bible timeline. If you look, Galatians, Paul writes to Galatians, and it's Galatians 1, chapter 1 to 6, right? This was written before Acts 20 and before Acts chapter 21. This is important to understand. Why am I saying this, right? Check it out. So we go to Acts. So now remember, in Galatians 2, he's saying that these so-called Gentiles shouldn't keep the law, right? And then nobody is justified by the law. And remember, the subject matter in Galatians 2 is these so-called Gentiles keeping the law, right? Keep that in mind. So let's go to Acts chapter 21, which was written after the book of Galatians. So we'll start at verse 15. And it says, after those days, we took up our carriages and went up to Jerusalem. There went with us also certain of the disciples of Caesarea, and brought with them one Nathan of Cyprus, an old disciple, with whom we should lodge. And when we were come to Jerusalem, the brethren received us gladly. And the day following, Paul went with us unto James, and all the elders were present. So now there's a council, right? And verse 19. And when we had saluted them, they declared particularly what things God had wrought among the Gentiles by his ministry. Verse 20. And when they heard it, they glorified the Lord and said unto him, thou seest, brother, how many thousands of Jews there are which believe and are zealous of the law. So now remember, Galatians 2, let's go back real quick. Galatians 2, where verse 14, where Peter is telling the Gentiles to live, right? Paul is like, why compellest thou the Gentiles to live as do the Jews, meaning keeping the law, right? Acts 21 is saying how many thousands of Jews are which believe, and they are all zealous of the law. This is important, right? Paul is getting rebuked for telling them that they shouldn't keep the law. Remember Galatians 2 right here, 16, it says that for by the works of the law shall no flesh be justified. So here in Acts, we see look, verse 21. And they are informed of thee, that thou teachest all the Jews which are among the Gentiles to forsake Moses, saying that they ought not to circumcise their children, neither walk after the customs. So who is Paul talking to? Is Paul talking to the Jews in Galatia, or he's talking to these so-called Gentiles not to keep the law? Remember, the Jews already keep the law, but these Gentiles are trying to do the law. I'm going to prove that. Watch this. So we'll go to Galatians, and we'll go to Galatians 3:1. And it says, O foolish Galatians, who hath bewitched you that ye should not obey the truth, before whose eyes Jesus Christ hath been evidently set before you, crucified among you? This only would I learn of you. Received ye the spirit of the works of the law, or by the hearing of faith? Are ye so foolish, having begun in spirit? Are ye now made perfect by the flesh? Have ye suffered so many things in vain, if it be yet in vain? He therefore that ministereth to you the Spirit, and worketh miracles among you, doeth he by the works of the law, or by hearing of the faith? So he's telling these Galatians, like, yo, how y'all gonna try to do the law when it's about faith? So you see, remember, these so-called Gentiles are zealous of the law, but in the book of Acts, is saying that these are Jews who are zealous of the law. So the Gentiles in Galatians are actual Jews who are zealous of the law, because here in Acts 21, which is after Galatians, Paul gets rebuked for that. See what I'm saying? So now let's go back to Galatians, and I'm going to prove that these so-called Greeks are Jews. Watch. This is, let's scroll down, and it says, right, watch. So now he's trying to, in Galatians 3:10, he's trying to convince them that if they do the law, they're going to be cursed by the law. Watch this. It says, For as many as are of the works of the law are under the curse. For it is written, Cursed is everyone that continueth not in all things which are written in the book of the law to do them. verse 11. But that no man is justified by the law in the sight of God. It is evident, for the just shall live by faith. So he's trying to convince them, like, yo, y'all don't got to keep the law. Y'all don't got to do these laws. So this is what was the counsel in Acts 21. He was being rebuked for saying all of this, how they don't have to keep the law. Watch this. This is verse 23. But before faith came, we were kept under law, shut up to faith, which should afterwards be revealed. Verse 24. Wherefore the law was our schoolmasters to bring us unto Christ, that we might be justified by faith. So he's saying, look, we no longer have to keep the law. Paul was very immature in his studies at this point of Galatians. This is why in Acts 21 he gets rebuked for everything he's saying. And remember, he's getting rebuked because these are Jews that want to keep the law. Again, I'm going to show you that these so-called Greeks are Jews. Verse 28. There is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither bond nor free, there is neither male nor female, for ye are all one in Christ Jesus. So now, watch this. Let's let's go to the Greek, all right? And we see for the word Greek, it says G1672, Helen, right? Now, this is something that I learned about this online Strong's Concordance. It's very deceiving, and I'm going to show you. So in the biblical, so first let's go to Strong's definition. Hellene, from G1671, a Grecian. Keep that in mind, y'all. Grecian, right? Or inhabitant of Hellas, by extension, a Greek-speaking person. And then watch what it says, especially a non-Jew, right? But watch this. This is the outline of biblical uses. It says a Greek by nationality, whether a native of the mainland or the Greek islands or colonies. And then in a wider sense, the name embraces all nations, not Jews, that made the language, customs, and learning of the Greeks their own. So remember what I said. This is very it's kind of deceiving. So this is why you have to get the hardcover Strongs. And let me show you real quick. So what I have right here is the Strongs. It says the New Strong's Expanded Exhaustive Concordance of the Bible, right? So let's take a look. Let's take a look at this. All right. And we're gonna go to, so the word in the Greek, remember, is hold on, where's my mouse? So remember, it's G is G1672, right? So right here we see, let me zoom in. All right, so right here we see G1672, right? And it says Hellene, from 1671, a Helen, a Grecian. Remember that word, Grecian, right? It says Hellas, by extension, a Greek-speaking person, is especially a non-Jew, right? But watch this, because this is the exhaustive one. We're going to go deeper. So check it out. Right here, which is right here, it says 1672, a Hellenist or Greek-speaking Jew, Grecian. So this is important. When you get the book, it gives you more detail. But this online Strongs is kind of sketchy. So you see here that G1672, Hellenist or Greek-speaking Jew. So these, and remember, 1672 is the Greek word for Greek, which in this Galatians 3:28, that Greek would be a Greek-speaking Jew, a Hellenist. And I'm going to show you more. Remember, I told you that, you got to be careful, right? So check this out, right? This is, I don't know if, I'm pretty sure everyone is familiar with this right here. This is the Zondervan Bible Compact Dictionary. When you first come into the truth, this is one of the first dictionaries that everybody gets, right? Everybody who first comes in the truth has this. So remember I told you the word Grecian, right? So watch this. Let's look up the word Grecian in this, right? So check it out. It says Greece, Grecia, Grecians. Grecia is Greece, the home of the Hellenes. Remember, Hellenes is the G1672. That's the word that's being used for Greek in Galatians 3:28. So if you scroll down, it says Grecians, where the arrow's at. If you see the arrow right here, so it says Grecians, right? Hold on, let me see. All right, right there. Grecians were Greek-speaking Jews, folk of the diaspora or the dispersion, right? That's Deuteronomy 28. The curses, how they would get scattered amongst all nations. So now, it's important to understand that, right? So when you go to when you're looking at this word here in Galatians 3:28, and it says, "For there is neither Greek nor Jew." This Greek word, Helen, is a Greek-speaking Jew. See what I'm saying? Who were following the customs of the Greeks. This is why they were so eager to come back to the law. But yet Paul, being unlearned at this time, was trying to convince them that they didn't have to keep the law. Now, I'm going to show you another book right here, right? And this is important. This book is the Hellenistic Civilization and the Jews, right? So this is going to show you how these people came into not being Jews anymore. So if you go to page 2, it's page 297 right here. I'm going to just read the highlighted part. It said, except those who had voluntarily excluded themselves from the generality and had abandoned both the Jewish community and Judaism in order to become assimilated among the Greeks. Hellenizing Jews of this type were to be found in every locality, and we have no means of determining their number. So these Jews that discontinued from the law and began calling themselves Greeks. This goes into 2 Maccabees chapter 6, right? Which during the Greek captivity, it was unlawful for any Jew to be called Jew, period. So they had to call themselves Greeks. Plus, a lot of them even went into the customs of the Greeks, right? You could read that in 2 Maccabees 6 and 1 Maccabees, I think, 10, right? So back to the back to Paul cutting himself, right? Remember where I told you how in, I think it was 2, where he says and not by work where, or right here where it says verse 16, that we might be justified by faith of Christ and not by the works of the law, right? So he's saying how no one can be justified by the law. So let's go back to the Bible timeline. And so we're going to see how he after Galatians, because Galatians was written here, right? Then he writes Romans, right? Before he gets to Acts. But we still see here in Romans how he kind of realizes that he's wrong before he gets to this council. So Romans 2:13. So remember Galatians, he says nobody is justified by the law. But in Romans 2:13, he says, for not the hearers of the law are just before God, but the doers of the law shall be justified. See what I'm saying? So he pretty much corrects himself before he gets to before he knows that he got to go to Jerusalem. See what I'm saying? Because if you look at the Bible timeline, Galatians, then Romans. See what I'm saying? And then he goes to Jerusalem. So by the time after he writes Galatians, he gets corrected, somewhere in between here before he gets to the council and gets really corrected. See what I'm saying? So we have to understand that Paul was still learning. All right. Now, I want to show you something real quick also. Where is it? Because he says how the law was written on our hearts, right? It says, Christ is justified by faith. Let me find that real quick. So Paul is actually, he contradicts himself. And I want to show you. I don't want to just say it. Let me see if I can find it again. I think it's here. Contain of the law. All right, right here, Romans 2:15. It says, which show the work of the law written with in their hearts, their conscience also bearing witness that their thoughts, the meanwhile accusing or else excusing one another. So even in Romans, he's still trying to justify the fact of not having to keep the law. He says, yeah, if you do the law, then you're justified. But if not, then whatever. You see what I'm saying? Like he's still learning even in Romans before he gets to Acts. Before he gets to the council in Jerusalem. He's still learning, but he's still going against the law. Watch this, and I'm going to show you. It says, which show the work of the law written in their hearts, their conscience also bearing witness, and their thoughts, the meanwhile accusing or else excusing one another. Now, I'm going to show you how Paul is still learning. He thinks that which show the work of the law written in their hearts. He thinks that according to the new covenant, he thinks he's in the new covenant at this point, and that you don't have to keep the law because the law is written on your heart. But watch this. This is Romans 7. And it says, this is the conflict of the two natures, and starting at Romans 7:14. For we know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold in sin. For that which I do, I allow not. For what I would, that do I not. But what I hate, that I do. So hold on and watch this, verse 17. Now then, it is no more that I do it, but sin that dwelleth in me. But wait a minute. If the law is written on your heart, how can sin dwell within you? Isn't your heart within you, but yet sin is within you? That proves that we are not in the new covenant. And the law is not written on our hearts yet. But Paul, growing in his knowledge, didn't understand this at this point. This is why he's battling himself. All right. Right. So back to Galatians. So we see that in Galatians 3, that word in Galatians 3:28, right here, Jew nor Greek. So if you go to the Greek right here, G1672, as I already stated, that's a Jew. That's a Greek-speaking Jew who didn't call himself a Jew, called himself a Greek or Hellene, right? And so I hope this was I hope it was edifying. It was short, it was powerful, but like I said, if you didn't understand it, just play it back and go by it again and take a look at everything that was presented. All right, y'all? All right, Shabbat Shalom. Shalom, y'all. All praise to the Most High.